Yes, guys. Happy weekend. Hope you're all good. So, wanted to get a video up today. I just spent a bit of time with my son in the sun this morning with my son. So, I just wanted to talk through a few different things today. One of them is just going to be around my experiences this week, and that will bridge into a kind of like a task that I want to set this week. Well, two tasks really that I want to set this week. So I want to talk a little bit about an action that I've created for myself. Been quite open about this, especially on social media, and the fact that obviously my training's potentially going to have to stop at a certain point, and I really want to push further into my knowledge on spirituality and go deeper into my meditation work and go deeper into kind of like finding different methods, seeking out different people, and really kind of networking and understanding all of the different aspects to see how that can take me forward and develop me as a person and my understanding on different things, and just to get around different people and evolve. And it's given me a really positive focus. Like, I had a really great experience in Manchester on Thursday, which I'm going to talk a little bit about, just because I want to update you guys on what I'm doing in the process that I'm going through, so that hopefully you can take something from it. Not necessarily doing what I'm doing, but you can understand the actions and things that I'm pushing through and the barriers that I'm pushing through myself, and making sure that I'm continuing on a good journey. Now, I've got the window open, guys, because I'm in the office, which is in the loft, and it is about 29 degrees today up in Glossop, or like South Manchester. I think it's South Manchester, Glossop. Stockport used to be, not sure where we are now. So the window's open, so apologies if you're hearing lawnmowers and cricket in the background. That's just outside my window. But otherwise, I'd literally be dripping more than I am now. So to touch base on this week, I basically went down to a buddy centre in Manchester, which I got recommended through a friend, a guy called Leo, who I met earlier this year when I was doing my B1 challenges. And we talked about this in the podcast, which hasn't been released yet, actually. So I was going down, I was taking a group of people down to the reservoir to do some training within the B1 challenge. And Leo was there doing some breath work with a group of people. He had them all sat down, had some music on, was getting them breathing, and I was approaching. And in my head straight away, I was like, shit. I was like, fuck. So I kind of signaled the guys to kind of run past. So we went down a bit. And as I ran past, Leo looked at me and kind of like let on. So I was like, oh, that's nice. So I let on back. And then we stopped up a little bit further. And then I kind of got the lads to wait there and walk back down. And Leo like approached me like he knew me, really welcoming, really open. And he'd actually been following me on Instagram and on social, and had seen the B1 challenge that had been going on. He'd been a big supporter of it. Even a few people who in his group had been following it, which I didn't realize. And that's when the penny dropped of how big an impact that had at that time on so many people. So he gave me a really warm embrace, gave me a hug. We had a good chat. He said, please carry on doing what you're doing. Because I was saying, listen, we can wait, we can move away. And he was like, no, please continue. We can all work here together, which again was a beautiful thing. Stayed in contact with him and I reached out to him to ask himself. I said, I want to continue my spiritual journey. I said, I'm just not sure exactly what I'm after or where I'm at. I just kind of I know what I want to develop myself, and I want to focus in. I want to get more in tune to meditation and see how deep and how far I can go with that. And he recommended just starting to go down there. So I went down on Thursday to the Buddy Centre. It's a beautiful place. It's a shop downstairs. Not sure if anyone's been. And even going into Manchester, knowing I was going in to meditate and to go to a Buddy Centre gave me quite a warm and nice feeling. So that was quite a positive step to the day. And this is where I'm going to start to build in as this video goes on, which is like just taking action really creates momentum into changing the way you are feeling as well. So when we've done the 7-day power up and I've tried to get you to create actions for your day, the benefit of that is it puts you into a positive place. It puts you into a positive mind frame and a positive mindset that you know you're going to take action, and that becomes an intent, and it's a positive, empowering intent because you've designed it specifically for yourself. So I went into Manchester knowing, going to a Buddy Centre, knowing I was going to meditate. I was in a calm state. I had a nice journey in, took me about 25 minutes on the train. And then I walked down, I got a coffee on the way. So I was really relaxed, wasn't in a rush. And I made sure of that as well, that I got down early. So I was able to kind of walk, take my time, have a coffee, again, got there early, and then I went into the room, really pleasant and welcoming. And this shows a transition in my character as a person. And this is something I'm still working on to this day, guys. It truly is, which is I've always been a very quiet individual. And especially if you put me into a group environment where I don't know many people, or into a new environment, whatever it may be, I'm very quiet, and I always have been. It's and again, that's just through self confidence issues that I've had from my past. So something that I've developed and still work on to this day is I try to make myself a little bit more outgoing, because I understand now a lot more that my energy and what I'm giving off will be rebounded back. So by just me being a little bit more warm and friendly with someone actually creates this nice communication. So as soon as I went in and I was paying to go in, I just created a conversation. Instead of just paying, I was like, just started to have a chat, had a bit of a joke about the pay machine because it wasn't working. So I just made a bit of a joke, and then a few people engaged. And just by me being quite warm and open, started to create that. Whereas before I'd have gone in and be dead quiet when it said anything, paid and kind of slipped through. And it just starts, that's a real reframe for me. And again, I'm still working to do that in all my scenarios and situations. And that's heavily affected sometimes by the state I'm in and the mood that I'm in, which is, again, is something that I'm still continuing to work on. But all of the things that I am trying to work on are to develop myself in these scenarios and situations, which is a powerful thing. So went down, paid, and then this gentleman, that we had a little chat, and he said, I said I was new, it was the first time. So he said he'd take me up. So he led me up, showed me where the toilet was. I wanted to go to the toilet before I meditated. And then explained, take my shoes off, walked into the room. There's about, say, 20 people in there, socially distanced, all with the masks on, and you're able to sit on the floor. They had these stools or a chair. So I picked the chair just because I've a very weird story, this one. But when, like at home, I've got like a meditation beanbag where I can cross my legs. Or I can sit on my bed and cross my legs and sit in that position. Because I do a lot of training, my hips are quite tight, and I've done it. And sometimes when I've been in meditation, I've sat cross legs, it does become really uncomfortable. And it gets to the point where you're trying to fight the pain, thinking, I need to stay in this position. And you're fighting against the barrier that you resistance that you shouldn't really be doing. So when I went in, I thought, I'm going to use a chair. I'm just going to sit on a chair so I'm nice and comfortable and I can really sink into this. And again, that was one of the old beliefs that I had about meditation. It was my mum that broke that. I had an old belief about meditation that you needed to sit cross-legged in a straight position and all of this. And then I remember saying to my mum was like, well, you can do it anytime. You can do it lay down in bed. Like my mum used to do it lay down in bed before she woke up. So it's the process. You can be doing it anyway. You can be doing it driving, which I'm going to give an example of in a minute. So we decided to sit down on the chair, and the female was really warm, really welcoming. And again, it was in a group environment. She gave a little bit of a brief introduction and then went into the meditation. And the meditation was basically, and I want to give you an example. I want to talk through this because I feel it'll help me to explain what happened, and also gives you an idea of something that I've actioned and worked on today, this week. So you talk through, and it's about kind of giving love and giving energy and giving positivity out. So after kind of doing a bit of a guided meditation to work through your body, so to kind of like feel the sensations going through the body, from the feet to the head to the hands, etc. Then she talked about the process of thinking about 4 people or groups of people. So the first one, let me think about. The first one was yourself. So the first one was about inhaling with inhaling with a positive thought about yourself, and then exhaling kind of like with love and expressing that outward. The second was about a friend. The third one was about someone you had conflict with, not necessarily real negative conflict, but just a bit of an aura of conflict, a bit of aura of negativity, but not like an astounding resentment or hate or anything like that, just a bit of conflict. And then the fourth one was all of them put together. And it was just a process where we probably spent 5 minutes on each one. It might have been a little bit longer, actually, because it's 45 minutes long. And just focusing on the inhale and the exhale, and through a period of when she rung the bell, you focus. So the first period is just focusing on myself, taking a big breath in, like wishing myself love and positivity and energy, and then exhaling and kind of sharing that out, if that makes sense. And then it went on to the next person, and just being in the room was phenomenal. And I think that being in a room of people that are all doing the same things creates more energy, creates more positivity within that environment. And it's a really powerful time, and I found it very easy to sit into the meditation. I was struggling a little bit at the start because I took a thick mask, which I shouldn't have done. So just to breathe in through my nose with a mask on, it was quite tough. But I reframed it, and this is an interesting one as well. Kev from Brevolution trains with an altitude mask, which is even thicker than one I was wearing, and he's running. So in my mind, I thought straight away, Kev trains with this on, and you've trained with an altitude mask on, mate. Like, reframe it now, just settle down, relax, you're going to be fine, and just sink into it. So as soon as I told myself that and relaxed, sat into it, and again, it was a beautiful experience, and it really transitioned. I had a great day Thursday, and I'll be going back down this week, and I stayed behind at the end, and I would never do that in my past. I stayed behind at the end to speak to the teacher, and I expressed to her, I'm trying to grow my spirituality journey. I want to understand more about meditation. Is there such thing as a spiritual teacher? And just asked advice, and she just said the best thing that she could recommend is just come down to a few classes, to do a few courses, and then there'll be other places around Manchester and around the UK as well, because I do want to go on a meditation retreat as well. But this is the first step. This was an action that I took, and it's an action that I took before I needed to take it. So I haven't had to stop training yet, but I didn't want to wait till that happened. I wanted to take action now and prove to myself who I am and who I'm becoming, if that makes sense. And that's what I'm going to touch into now. So I just wanted to give you an overview of that. And guys, I really recommend that even if you've not meditated before, it's a great place to go down. And I think I've spoke to Ollie about this as well. And I think Ollie Dawn, who's in the group and obviously do the podcast with, is keen on coming down with me and experiencing it. And even Kev on the day, voice note with me out of the blue. He even turned up at my gym to see if I was there. And he was on the cusp of coming down with me as well. And it's just a beautiful place to go down and just to take in that energy and to understand different processes of meditation, of the way it works. Because it's hard to build momentum on your own sometimes. So to reach out and go to places like this around really warm and welcoming people as well. Generally, you're going into a place where the people are going to be warm and welcoming. And there's going to be no real resistance or kind of anger there or anything like that. It's like people are going there to work on themselves, to develop themselves, or to show love, or to show energy, and it's a beautiful thing. So where I wanted to lead that into, guys, was every day for the 7-day power up. Not only did I ask you to define the word to yourself, but I asked you to create an action for that. And then the following day, whilst that word was in play, I asked you to actually think of more actions that you can create. Now, the reason this is so powerful, guys, is your actions or your behaviors or your thought processes, because we brought thoughts in within an action as well. It could be a thought, it could be behavior, it could be the way you're feeling and making yourself feel. But all of these things create the kind of person you are and the person you want to be. So when I asked you to create an action, the first question I'm going to ask is, like, were you able to perform that action the next day? Were you able to create more actions? Because again, you've got to remember, guys, you're always telling yourself who you are by the way you act. So a lot of people, like, for example, say they want a goal and they'll set themselves a goal, but then all of their behaviors are out of alignment with the goal. So although they think they have set themselves a goal, they haven't. What they've actually done is just written something down or said something to themselves of what they think they want, but then every single behavior, action, or thought actually goes against the goal. So you're telling your mind, I don't actually want that goal. So your mind's like, right, okay, he doesn't want the goal, or she doesn't want the goal. And that's, again, it's just so the transition of understanding all of this when I was a fitness coach was unbelievable, because it was like I had a real life example right in front of my eyes with so many clients that were experiencing resistance. And it was due to this pattern. It's due to this pattern of they think or thought they wanted a goal, but because they weren't behaving in the way, acting in the way, and thinking of the way of that goal of the person that would achieve it, they were telling themselves they were never going to get there. And that's where all this resistance comes from. So to break down that resistance, it's understanding the actions that you're taking. And even if you do take an action that's out of line with your goal or necessarily who you want to be, it's just being aware of it. And the awareness can then help you make a judgment on it or a decision on it, whether it's a one-off, whether you are letting yourself do it for a specific reason, or whether it is just you are out of control or just not in line with who you want to be. And that's where this kind of like friction and confusion kind of comes into place within the mind. because your mind's kind of talking to itself, which I'm going to show you an exercise on that in a minute. So the 2 tasks that I want us to focus on this week, guys, is I want you to really create an action. And this is going to come down to 2 things. If you did the 7 days and you were able to create an action for each day and implement it, then well done. Like, seriously, well done, because that's where so many people struggle. So many people will have potentially not even created an action. Some people would have created an action and then not executed it. And then the other people might create an action, executed it, or they might have even created more actions the next day and written it down. And this is the benefit of a journal. Like, just start to create actions. And you don't need to implement them, but at least you're building a list of things that you know, right, this is, if I start to behave like this and do these things, I know that I'm going to be moving towards the person that I want to be, or moving towards a goal that I want to achieve it. So creating an actions list, get another journal and just start writing behaviors, actions, and thoughts that are going to create the path to get you to where you want to be. So that's what I want to give you this week. I want you to really grab power this week and think of something. So my example last week for myself was going down to the Buddy Centre and taking that step to go down on my own. I didn't need anyone to come down with me. I'd have loved people to come down with me, and they're more than welcome to. But that didn't stop me from going down on my own. So create an action this week that aligns with who you want to be, that aligns with a goal that you're chasing or just the change that you want, and put it into place as soon as possible. So last week I'd already researched when it was on. I'd already researched the times it was on, and I'd already set my diary so I knew I was going. So I knew on Thursday at 1 o'clock I was going down to the Buddy Centre to meditate. It was as simple as that. Set in stone. Now I've got loads of other actions and behaviours that I've got in place, and that all came from prioritizing, understanding the actions that I needed and putting them into place. But guys, I've been working on this for a hell of a long time, and that's why I feel I'm in a position now to hopefully coach. So that's what I want you to focus on this week, creating an action, that you are going to go and implement this week that takes you forward and that tells you that you are working towards a person you want to be, because that starts to make you feel good. It brings you the emotions of positive emotions, and it tells yourself, like, well done, you are now working towards it. You are like literally reaffirming to yourself you are doing the things that are taking you towards your goal. So the step for me this week is to go down twice. The other step is that they run courses, so I'm going to apply to go on one of the courses. Not apply, I'm going to I think that's the right word, sign up. I'm going to sign up to one of the courses. I'm not going to stop after one time. So many people do that as well. They do something once and it's really good, and it changes the way they think and they feel. They come away amazing, and then they never do it again. And that for me is phenomenal. It's like, guys, you just found something that's really positively impacting your life. Surely you want to make that a part of it now. It's a part of your identity to move forward. But you've got to remember the resistance will be there. Your body will be in a comfort zone now. Even if it's not where you want to be, it's in a comfort zone. It knows it, that it's a known comfort zone. Even if you're unhappy, even if you're negative, even if you're fearful, it's known. So your body will want to stay in that because it's known. At least it knows what it can do to avoid fear, any more fear or any more embarrassment that it's already in. And I want to stay within that. So stepping outside that comfort zone is a tough thing, but you've got to be broken to get to where you want to be. And this will all start to build your self-confidence and build your self-esteem and build the belief in yourself. And guys, I'm talking from experience, because this is something I've had to break through myself to get to where I am today. So I'm not talking about this not knowing about it. I'm talking about because I know the power of it, guys. So guys, please, one task for this week is to create an action this weekend. Get it sorted this weekend. Book into something. Do something. Create an action that you might be, whether you're going out and physically doing it, whether you are signing up for a course, whether you're going to, the book that you read in a minute, and there's a few tasks that you think, right, I'm actually going to hit these tasks this week, and notably mark them down, notably write them out. Some form of action that's building your belief, that's taking you forward in the way you want to go. You need to get that nailed down this weekend and put it into place this week. Action is key, guys. Positive, and I've talked about this before. Positive affirmations are brilliant, but they won't work if you are not backing it up with the behaviors that support it. That's where positive affirmations don't work. You can say positive affirmations to yourself all day long, but then as soon as you stop saying them and you go and behave in a completely different manner, you just kind of stop in all of that positive. That affirmation stops. It's just like, okay, you've said it to yourself, but I don't believe it. I believe what I'm actioning, what you actually do. You believe because you're doing it, you're performing it. The belief is there in front of your eyes enough that you're doing it, if that makes sense. So the action's got to support everything. So where we're talking about even designing the best version of yourself, and this is something I am going to be bringing out this week, guys, where I'm going to break down Ollie and Carl's best version of themselves and show you ways that I want them to be showing themselves these characteristics and traits and understand the actions they're taking to build that belief in the best version of themselves. So that's going to go deeper this week. So create one action this week, guys, that you're going to implement. It'd be amazing if you can share it into the group. Again, it's accountability to yourself. And it helps us understand the journey, me understand your journey as well. But if not, do it for yourself, get it written down. The second task, guys, is a little bit of a mindfulness task, but one that I'm a big believer in. And I've done a similar one, but I've changed it a little bit to put into the group. So, guys, I want you to set yourself a timer. Now, I've done this a few times this week, so I still do these tasks myself. The most powerful time I did this was driving home from work on, was it Tuesday night? No, Monday night. Wednesday night. There's the night this week I was driving home and applied this task. And basically, it was just to quieten the mind. So there's two things I've done before with this. The first one was the word change. And that was whenever I had a conflicting thought away from my identity, a negative thought, a spiraling thought, I'd say the word change out loud. I'd say change. And that was my trigger to think, right, okay, your thought patterns are going out. Stop right now. Change. Think about something positive. Think about something you're working towards, or just stop the thought. And what I said to myself the other day was quieten the mind out loud. If you're on your own, you can say it out loud. If you're around people, to say it to yourself. So what I want you to do is set a timer, or if you're traveling, you can do it when you're traveling, or any time you want, but it'd be good to do an exercise where you just sit down, start the timer for 10 minutes and just sit there. And anytime a thought comes into the mind, any thought whatsoever, even if it's a positive thought, this is the exercise, because it's building a discipline. That's the idea behind this. It's building a discipline so you can start to control your mind. So even if it's a positive thought or a negative thought or a neutral thought, like I've got to take the bins out, I've got to have a shower, that's a neutral thought. Just want you to say to yourself, quiet in the mind. And when you say that, the idea then is to kind of shut the thoughts down and just try to go back into the present, look at things, feel things, stay within the present moment, try not to think of anything. Think of anything. You can look at things, you can hear things and smell things and feel things, but don't let thoughts continue with that. And again, if a thought pops back up, you say to yourself, quiet in the mind. You physically say it, because by physically saying it, you are telling your mind to quieten down. And that's the trick behind it. That's why I prefer to say it out loud than in your head. So I used to say change. This week I said quiet in the mind. I said it. As soon as I said quiet in the mind, I shut my thoughts down. And guys, guess what? 2 minutes later, a thought came back up. So I said to myself, quiet in the mind. I was able to quiet the mind back down. Start to take in, I was driving, didn't have the radio on, just driving, taking in the scenery. And again, 2 minutes later, another thought popped into mind. This time it might have actually caught up with me, and I started to create a bit of a story and thinking about it. And then suddenly I remembered, Ben, quiet in the mind. Said it again and took it down. So this is a task, like, guys, believe me, even the best meditators in the world, for the first 5 to 10 minutes will have thoughts coming up. But you need to tell yourself to quieten the mind. But by verbally saying it, it's going back into your ears, and it's like you're telling yourself, so it will happen. Whether it's a positive thought, neutral thought, or negative thought, it doesn't matter. The task isn't about just stopping negative thoughts. It's about stopping all thoughts. So you are creating a discipline to control your mind, to control the mind giving thoughts out. So that's the task. Set a timer, 10 minutes. Or if you're traveling, try and do it don't try and do it all the journey, maybe 10 minutes of the journey once you've got into a rhythm with the journey or whatnot. You could do it any time of the day you want. And that's all the task is. Anytime a thought comes into your mind, I want you to say the words out loud if possible, quiet in the mind. And then I want you to stop the thoughts and just kind of sink into the present moment and see how long you can carry on going before another thought pops up. When it does, can you catch it straight away? Say again, quiet in the mind, and then try and quieten the mind down. Not have another thought. Again, even if it's a positive thought, even if it's a thought about a loved one, something you're excited about, something you're nervous about, anxiety about, any thought whatsoever, got to put the bins out, what am I wearing, look at the person that's walking down the road, all of these things. I'm trying to help you create discipline, a discipline within yourself. And that's the biggest thing with this. Now, it can help sometimes to have a journal handy. So if you're doing it at home, the reason, if you're really struggling with this, I've got a few tips I've written down. So one of them is to have a journal handy, because the reason is, once you have this thought, if you write it down, generally because you've written it down, your mind will allow you to forget it. It's like, right, okay, you've written it down, then you can sink back into it. So it does help to have a journal ready. I learned that tip when I was struggling sleeping, and I read a book and it said, if you're struggling to go to sleep, have a journal handy, and any thoughts, worrying thoughts that are coming up in your mind, write them down. And when you've written it down, the mind actually starts to let it go and release it. And it helped me massively to go to sleep, but you can utilize it in this task as well. The second one is to not judge the thought when it comes up. So when the thought comes up, try not to get caught up in it. As soon as you stay quiet in the mind, just let the thought go. Try and release it. Try and relax. Focus on your breathing. Again, breathing is so key. Remember the live we did with Kev when he talked about just slowing the breathing down. Completely changes the biochemistry, calms the thoughts, calms the body. So if you're struggling and a thought comes up and starts to make you a little bit anxiety or worried or excited or motivated, even, like, remember, it's positive emotions we're trying to calm down as well. Just focus on the breathing. Say it out loud. Quiet in the mind. And just take a couple of deep breaths and focus on the breathing. And before you know it, you're back in a peaceful place, in a calm place. And then if you have any really strong feelings come up, like I say, you get really, because when you try to do these exercises, sometimes your mind might really try and mess with you, which it used to do with me. When I first got into meditation, my mind was like, motherfucker, you ain't calming down. I'm going to throw some of the most vile thoughts into your mind possible. Like, it was horrendous. But I stuck with it and I beat it. So that's something that I'm proud of as well. But one of the tips that I learned with that one is, when your mind does start to trip you up and fire some really kind of things that you're thinking, no way, you quiet me down, etc. What about this? Think about this. Think about this. It happened. Think about this person. Firstly, again, just say the words, quiet the mind out loud. Key to really try and say it out loud. If not, if you're saying in your head, really repeat it to yourself. Quiet the mind. Focus on the breathing and calm down. If you do start to get quite anxiety, if you do start to feel anxiety or any kind of real feelings, whether they're positive or negative, I want you to zone into the sensation. So try not to think of the emotion, which is the thought and the feeling put together. So release the thought, whatever feeling you've got, whether it's your heart beating faster, whether it's you're getting a bit sweaty, whether you start to feel that bit of a weird feeling in your gut, or it might be coming up into your chest. Just feel the sensation. So forget the thought and just take your mind into your body and feel the sensation. And as you do that, start to slow your breathing down. And as you start to slow your breathing down and go into that emotion, funnily enough, you'll start to feel the sensation just release, and you'll be out of it. It's persistence with this sort of stuff, guys. If it doesn't work the first time, believe me, the more you do it, the more you stay in control, the more you stay disciplined, the more this will actually start to work. If you try this and it doesn't work to start with, and you think, what's the point? It's not fucking working. It's not for me. I give up. Guys, it took me a year to even get anywhere. It took me 2 years to actually start to break through massive patterns. I'm not saying it'll take that long for you, but my point being is, don't give up on something once. If it didn't work then, it did work. You just experienced barriers. Barriers are there to be broken down, to be overcome, to build your strengths of character. So look at, if it didn't work, look at it as, right, that's a positive. It's a result. I tried it. This happens. The next time I try it, I'm going to be more aware of it. I'm going to really sink into some of the tips that Ben gave that allow me to quieten that mind down, to absorb into my sensations, and then to focus on slowing my breathing down, which again quiets the mind down. Guys, this is a discipline. And what a discipline to have, to be able to start to control your mind. Whether it's a positive thought or a negative thought, I can still control my mind and quieten it down. And the reason I want to bring this task in is, again, because when we start to design who we want to be, when we start to design goals and thought processes and actions, there'll be two things that stop us: limiting thoughts, okay, and then the worry and the barrier, the fear of taking action. So I want to help create a foundation of how to help you create positive thought patterns, but back that up with positive actions. And when you can start to do both of them on a continuous basis, that's when you start to see real change. So I want to really strip it back and start to coach you small techniques that have worked upon on a daily or weekly basis will really start to transition you as a person, and give you such a platform to just change in life and in a positive way. This is such a good task. I got home like in such a calm state. And it's not, and again, this is the power of meditation. You could be in a really good mood, and it's like, right, the idea isn't to visualize in this meditation or to think positively. The idea in this meditation is to calm my mind down and have no thoughts. So you kind of slowing the brain waves down and getting it in tune and coherence with the heart and the body. So the idea behind this task is to, even if it's a positive thought, an exciting thought, is to still have the discipline to quieten the mind completely down. So don't just rely on the negative comments popping up, rely on the positive thoughts popping up. And when I say rely, that's a good thing, because you're relying on, well, woman, I actually want them to come up, because then what I want to be able to say to them is, quieten the mind, I'm quietening you down, and I'm just going back to a place of being present in the moment, looking about. But don't look at someone walking down the street and judge them or think about this and that, because again, that's thought processes. Just be aware of them. Be aware of the surroundings and where you're at. Focus on your breathing. The breathing technique's a massive one. Kev, my breath coach, gave me an exercise, breathe right, breathe light, which is just inhaling as slow as I can and then exhaling as slow as I can as well. And just focusing on that. I've been doing that a lot, and that's been a new meditation that I've brought into my day. And you can do that in this scenario as well. So when you say quieten the mind, focus on that breath, nice and slow in through the nose, 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 seconds if you can, and then the same out, 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 seconds on the way out, nice and slow. And before you know it, you start to calm the body down, and with that, the mind calms down as well. So we're after the quietening of the mind. But again, just to reiterate, if you do this task and you can't quieten the mind down, that's not a failure. It's a result. It just means, okay, so I tried, I experienced some resistance, some barriers. So next time I do it, I'm just going to review the tips that Ben gave. I'm also going to make sure I'm maybe in a more comfortable position, or I might try it in a different time of the day, but I'm going to do it again the next day. I'm going to go back at it. I'm not giving up on this. I'm going to be persistent. I'm going to be committed. I'm going to be dedicated. I want this to make a massive difference. Because as soon as you can start to coach yourself to quieten the mind down, that is when positive affirmations can be really powerful. Because as soon as you quieten the mind down, you can then reinforce a positive affirmation. And with that, then maybe a positive action. And that's the power. That's where I want to get us to. I want to get us to the point where we've got actions and we've got positive thoughts. And with both of them put together, that creates positive sensations and feelings. And with that, you've completely transformed who you are and who you're being and where you're going. And that, guys, is just an absolute game changer. And it's going to transform your life forward. So they're the 2 tasks for this week. There's going to be more coming out this week. I'm really going to dig into the best version of yourself. I don't know if you've listened to that clip I put into the group last night, but I was blown away in the first 5 minutes when Kobe Bryant brought up the best version of himself or yourself in his book that he's created about his journey and his process. And he's classed probably as one of the greatest basketball players, if not one of the greatest athletes of all time, because of his mindset, because of the way he approached games, training, life philosophy, how to live himself, how to just show himself and be to himself and other people. And that's a powerful thing when I listened to that and it came up. So that's a really powerful thing. So guys, that is the 2 tasks for this week. To start off with this weekend, that by the end of this weekend, I'd love you to have done. The first one, create an action for this week, whatever it is, share it into the group, message me privately, or just tell it to yourself or tell it to a friend or partner. What are you doing this week? An action, a big, bold action, a courageous action that takes you forward. It might be going somewhere, it might be speaking to someone, it might be taking up a course, just something you are implementing this week. A big action this week. Just one. If you can do more, even better, but at least one. You are going to go out and actively do this week to positively change you into the person you want to be or take you towards the goal that you want. The second one is the thought, quieten the mind. That's the thought that you're putting in there to quieten all the other thoughts down. And then you are sitting into a place of just being present in the moment. And that means not having any thoughts. You can still see, you can still smell, you can still hear, you can still feel, you can still taste, but you're not thinking about anything. You're in the present moment. Anytime a thought comes up, whether it's positive, negative, or neutral, you are saying the words out loud if possible, if not into your head, but a few times, quieten the mind, and then try and shut off the thoughts. Try and do that for 10 minutes. 10 minutes and be persistent with it. Don't judge yourself. If you keep having them, when I was driving home, probably had 20. It wasn't the fact that the thoughts were coming up. That wasn't a failure. The benefit to it was me being able to say to myself, quiet in the mind, and then start to quiet the mind down. Because every time I did that, I thought, right, you're doing this, Ben. That's the idea behind it. The idea behind it is to be aware and then be able to shut the thought down. It doesn't matter if another one pops up 2 minutes later, as long as I was aware and I was able to say it again. And over time, that will get better and better. And then when you relate that into other meditational work or other visualization work, or just when you are stressed and you want to quiet the mind down, you've given yourself this discipline, this power. You've given yourself a power to be able to do that, which is an amazing thing. And again, I'm going to share all the new information and learnings that I learn and teachings that I learn in my journeys coming up. I'm going to give as much out there as possible, and hopefully the people that I'm working with, I'm going to get them to come into the group, and so I can chat with them and help them get to express it to you as well, just so you can start to see how beneficial these stuff are, because I'm quite open about the fact that mindset work, meditation work, and self-development work has been the biggest game changer of my life, to make me feel better, to make me think better, to make me achieve more, both internally and externally. It's been a game changer. So guys, that's the video for the weekend. I'm going to pop a few things in tomorrow still, and will still be more tasks and more things coming this week. But this is just something that I wanted to get out there, because I really want you to focus in on this, guys. The question, again, the 7 days, guys, it's not over. You can repeat it through. We've turned it into an actual course. I wanted to create an actual 7-day empowerment course. So you can go back through it, guys, and do each day again. Or you can just pick one of the days and think, right, I'm going to concentrate on this one. I do need to be more aware. So I'm going to focus on awareness for a couple of days. Or I want to really dig into the word failure and get my mind around it. Spend a few days on it to really embed it into your mind and understand it and create actions for it and things like that. But feed it into the group or feed it to myself. Sometimes expressing and explaining helps not just yourself, but other people. But don't think that 7 days are over. Go back into them and embed them and embody them. I appreciate one day in its own is quite, especially if you've got a busy lifestyle. One day cannot be enough time sometimes to really get your head into it. So go back into it and think, right, I'm going to go with the first day. I'm going to go committed, but I'm going to spend 3 days on committed. I'm going to create a one action for each of the days. I'm going to really think about the commitment I've got that I want to be pushing to, or the other commitments within my life. So go back through it, because I'm going to be bringing more words. That for me is a big thing. Like how many words are out there? How many definitions can you give to a word that position it in a way that's going to support your life and your journey? And that's a powerful thing. And being able to reframe, which is another technique that I want to be able to share and show you guys, because it's such a powerful one. And the example, I've had it a few times this week, and it's something that I've started to become very good at. Just reframing situations on the spot to give me a different way of thinking. So again, when I went into that meditation center and put that mask on, and I physically was struggling. I don't think I got the mask in here, but it's like it's an Adidas one, and it's double thick. It's got a lip inside as well. It's hard to breathe through. This room was warm, and I was trying to do nasal breathing, and at the start I started to panic, and I couldn't take the mask off. So in that situation, it was actually starting to cause a conflict in my mind. I'm like, I've come to a meditation center. I can't calm down. I can't breathe properly. This is the thoughts that were going into my mind. So to reframe it in that second, I thought, how can I reframe this? Kev, my coach, my breathing coach, wears an altitude mask and runs and is able to survive and perform. You're sat down in a chair trying to breathe slowly. You are going to be fine. And just by saying that, it suddenly transitioned my thinking, and I was able to sit there, calm my breathing down, and execute what I was there for in meditation. Reframing is a powerful thing. And I'm going to hopefully, in the journey in the B1 Mindset community, show you how to reframe things as well. So guys, I'm going to wrap it up there. I appreciate that's 40 minutes. I promise you these will start to become audios, but I appreciate these stuff might be best just putting your headphones in, not looking at the screen and just listening, or putting it through a speaker. But hopefully sharing more value and a few tips. These tasks are powerful, guys, and are transformational if you persist with them, if you are disciplined with them. And this is about building discipline within your mind. So the task with the timer to quieten your mind is about building discipline. It doesn't matter if 20, 30, 40 thoughts pop up. That's not where the discipline lies. The discipline lies is every time the thought pops up, can you not get caught up in the thought? Can you just say quiet in the mind and calm the thought down? That's all you're after. Even if you have 30 thoughts and you have to say quiet in the mind 30 times, that's a win. That's a win because you're aware, you've said it, you settled it down. The more you do that, the more you will start to build up this resistance, this ability to quieten the mind down. And that sets us on a great path to progress forward. The biggest one as well is take action. What are you taking action on this week? Think about any goals you're chasing. Think about the person you want to be. Can you make one massive action? Not 3 fingers up. One massive action this week that you're going to go and take no matter what. Book it in now. Do it today, tomorrow. Find somewhere. Find something. Book it. Do it. Get it set in your diary. Know it's coming up. Get excited about it. Get focused on it. Actions are so key. As I've said in so many times, knowledge is an amazing thing. But if you don't do anything with the knowledge, it's just that. It's knowledge. You can read all the books in the world. You can listen to all the audio clips. But if you don't take action, if you don't implement what you're learning, it doesn't do anything to you guys. You've got to implement it. Got to implement it. As soon as you implement it, you are telling yourself straight away, this is who I am. I am trying. I'm making an effort. This is my attitude towards it. I want to be a different person. I want to be this person that takes this action, that thinks this way. You've got to take control. I always say that you've got to take control of your life. So I'm going to wrap it there, guys. Please try and do those tasks for me. I'm going to drop a few more bits in tomorrow, and then we'll be back rocking and rolling with this this week. I've got more things to fly in. I've also hopefully got a guest speaker lined up as well. So lots on the cards. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the sun. Stay blessed, stay grateful, and I'll see you all soon.